Hi guys, I just thought I would hop on and do a quick live with you guys to talk a little bit about the Real Housewives of New Jersey. I did put up a video that talks about the prison visitation list because I felt like that was something important that we needed to kind of touch base on just to kind of show the mentality of where some of the housewives are at, but there were still a lot of other things that I wanted to touch base on, so I thought I would just come on live. And if you're around and you want to hop on and chat, this is a great opportunity to do it. Make sure that you comment, let me know where you're watching from. I love to see where everyone is from. Make sure that you're hitting the like button, subscribing. Hey K Mama, turning those notifications on. And this is an exact reason why turn your notifications on so you don't miss any lives when we're chatting about some tea. Hi, Yo Yo. I love you and miss you. Um, what do you guys want to start with first? There's a lot to unravel here, guys. I have a video. It's gonna be posting at like 1:30. It's gonna discuss the prison. I want to say lie. It's the prison lie that Melissa says about Joe not being able to visit Teresa in prison because he wasn't on the visitation list, right? I've talked about that before, but I go into detail. And that video will be coming, it'll be posting at like 1:30. For this video, I wanted to chat a little bit about everyone's perception on how they felt like Andy Cohen acted towards the ladies. I felt like he was very more like leaning towards one side during one conversation and then leaning towards the other side in the other conversations. I felt like too many times it felt like he was siding with Melissa and making it out to like Teresa not communicating what she was exactly trying to say. For instance, the prison, you know, whole lie. And then Teresa goes on to say like they didn't really invite her out to dinner, they didn't hang out. Melissa says that Joe didn't come to visit because he wasn't on the list. Margaret and Rachel really seem to be co-signing a lot for Melissa. I felt like Andy Cohen lit up when he saw Melissa and she came out in the blue dress. I like the dress, not so much the whole look itself. I feel like she could have, done a little bit more. But it's like Andy Cohen, there's something there that we're missing that we're not picking up, because if you guys go back and watch, like, he obviously compliments and tells all of them that they look beautiful. But when he sees Melissa, for some reason, he really lights up. It's a little, I don't know. Andy Cohen also went on a podcast with the two girls, and he revealed on the podcast that he had a private lunch with Teresa before she actually had to go away and do her sentence. Andy Cohen has told us many of times that he didn't know if they would ever see her again, if she would come back on. They just didn't know the future of the show. They weren't sure. And he said that they had a lunch, and Teresa really expressed to him a lot of times where she felt hurt by him. And she even said it last night on the show. Like, you brought my in-laws on, you brought my sister-in-law on. Andy Cohen was like, it seemed to me, in my opinion, like he was siding more with Melissa's story. And I think partly because of Carlos King. I think that Andy Cohen is we're forgetting and we're not adding in a factor that we have an up and coming guy who was loved and has lots and lots and lots of contacts through the Housewives. Carlos King was one of the biggest producers. His name is on like 8 out of the top 10 Housewives seasons and episodes ever. Like, he's very well respected. He now has a respectable podcast. He is doing production with ex-Housewives. He just worked with Monique from the Real Housewives of Potomac. So he also, doesn't he work with Sheree Whitfield's new boyfriend too, from Real Housewives of Atlanta? So the man has a lot of connections. I mean, they were calling him like the up and coming Andy Cohen when he first kind of branched out. So Dana Wilkie has said, like, Andy doesn't seem like he wants to take a vacation. He's scared somebody's gonna take his spot, right? But he really seemed very like unmedium. He was rude to Jennifer Aiden. Did you guys think that he was rude to Jennifer Aiden a little bit? Like, I get Jennifer's point, and maybe they completely edited out what her point. What I think more so was like, we saw Melissa doing endorsements for like $10 facial scrub microderma brushes. We saw her doing endorsements for like hair dryer brushes. Okay, like use my code and get 20%. We weren't seeing big endorsement deals, right? When she came out with her workout gear, we've seen multiple people post online. It's on clearance at Ross, it's on clearance at Mark's, it's on clearance at Marshall's. So I think that when we talk endorsements, like we need to really be sure, like what, because I don't see Andy Cohen ever. I mean, there was a time when you. I'm gonna say allegedly, but there was a time before COVID when you couldn't go onto her Instagram and there not be something that she was trying to sell you. Seriously. It was all the time. And then when COVID hit, a lot of that went out the door. And I think that maybe it just never picked up like it was before. But anyone here understands, like, they remember how her Instagram was, because she wasn't the only housewife that was like selling us everything, because they kind of, it was like Gretchen from the Real Housewives of Orange County, another one who's like the hustle and bustle, lost the OC Real Housewives paycheck. Shane, we know how Shane is. And so she was really hustling and bustling, and she was getting the same sort of endorsements, the face brush, the hair brush. Like, come on now. Melissa and Joe need money, so they'll do anything for endorsements. I completely agree. But when Jennifer was saying, like, I don't have to do endorsements, like, Andy Cohen, he like sided with Melissa a little bit, because Jennifer was like, I don't wait, Andy, where's your endorsements? Like, because you don't have to do endorsements. And Andy's like, oh, I like my endorsements. Like, Andy, what endorsements are you talking about? Your book? Like, yeah, you're selling us your book. Like, okay, but what else? Like, I don't see Andy Cohen every night on Instagram trying to sell me some junk face brush or some special bamboo toothbrush or some special bamboo toothbrush whitening kit. Like, we don't see that. And so he sided, I felt like, with Melissa. Did anyone else feel like that? Ouch, I couldn't even bring myself to watch it. Jennifer does have money, exactly. Like, I understood her point. Like, we know Jennifer, but her point was like, she doesn't have to do endorsements. And Andy kind of made it like, oh, well, I love my endorsements, like, regardless of, no matter, like, basically, no matter how, the mentality of like more is more. And if it's money, it's money, I guess. But we don't really see that from Andy Cohen in real life, which made me feel like he was siding with Melissa and Margaret. P.S. I don't know what Margaret has sold in Walmart. Allegedly makeup brushes. Mama, exact Yo-Yo. Margaret finally says she has endos with Walmart. Finally, but like, that's not reflecting either. Where is her paychecks? We're seeing her freaking accountant sue her. Like, why does Andy Cohen say, oh, you have an endorsement with Walmart? She's bragging about how everyone wants to be in Walmart. Well, I don't want to be in Walmart if I'm not going to get paid. Like, are you getting paid? Because you're getting sued a lot by a lot of people. Just saying. I think Andy is upset with Teresa because of Carlos King. Now we might be onto something in Love and Lie. That might be onto something. He could be upset. He could be jealous. Teresa and Melissa Feaster went on his podcast. And then they had him on their podcast. And did I dream that New Jersey's on like a gag order for podcasts and public they're on a gag order for podcasts and social media? But she's making fun of Danielle's Amazon dress. Exactly. She seemed to really have it out for Danielle, which is so weird, because how can you on one hand say that you were trying to be so helpful to her and you helped make her a logo and, elevate her brand? Like, nobody wants a logo from you, Marge. Like, you got sued by whoever you allegedly stole their logo from, and allegedly that's how the reason that your company is bankrupt, or not even bankrupt, but broke or whatever. Like, isn't that what she said? She lost like so much money in legal bills defending the logo from another company that said she allegedly took it from them. Not to mention what she had to pay them. I think it was like $300,000. Uh, oh no, it was that on the Jeff Lewis. Thank you, thank you, K Mama. I'm like, did I dream that? Did I dream that? Jeff Lewis. I like Jeff Lewis. I know. Until after their union, they are. Okay, that makes sense. Thank you. He might also be mad because people have requested Bravo bring Carlos King to do reunions instead of him. It does seem like Carlos King has a lot of energy. And I don't think that he would maybe be great for all of the franchises. But again, if you guys were in my live yesterday, I said they need two people running the Bravo community. Like, split them into districts, split them into West Coast, East Coast. Like, make it a competition. Like, that's what they should be kind of doing, really, honestly, because they've kind of given Andy the free reign. He doesn't have the competition of, it's a lot different when you have to perform and you know that you're performing like in competition. Like, you could make it to where they're both bringing great TV. Like, I think that there are some franchises that Andy Cohen does really well with. Beverly Hills is one of them. He holds on to every word. He watches the episodes. I mean, but we've seen Andy go into the Real Housewives of Dallas reunion and not even have watched the whole season, right? So, I think that it would be great to bring Carlos King on. I think Bravo knows that. I think that especially with all of the bad press that Bravo's gotten from the community, we know. Look at how they treat Atlanta. Like, those women had to pay for their own press photos last year. They don't get the press that the other franchises get. We've seen Teresa on a press tour. We've seen Teresa everywhere. We won't see that when it comes to the Real Housewives of Atlanta. We're barely seeing any sort of chatter. Like, I think we see some Instagram presence, but not like you see with Beverly Hills and New Jersey. And that's another reason I feel frustrated with Bravo, because I think that they don't credit their bloggers and their viewers who are online giving light to what is going on, who is posting and commenting and keeping the algorithm and keeping. I mean, we've been talking about New Jersey almost for an entire year. Teresa got married a year ago in August, right? It's June 1st. So, they've gotten their money's worth. That's for sure. Bravo has gotten their money's worth from everyone, I feel like. And I think that they have sucked all that they can out of the storyline with Teresa and Joe. And I think because fans are saying they are tired of seeing the same storyline, of course, they love the family values of New Jersey, but they're surely tired of the fighting. And I think that Carlos King has so much energy. He's doing these podcasts. He has a lot of contacts. I think that we're really onto something, considering there's some jealousy there. And if Bravo was smart, they would bring him in. Caroline says it was a dressing party. Why would anyone spend a lot of money on a dress? I know. I mean, I felt like that was terrible. Oh, felt like that was terrible to say. Like, very mean girl. Very, very, very mean girl. She loves Carlos King. I do too. Andy doesn't like Louie. He adores Joey Gorga. I'd like to know why he chased after him, yelling at Teresa last reunion, because he said Joe's gonna quit. I think Andy is burnt out. I think so too. Andy has 2 kids. He's exhausted. He needs a break. I completely agree. And that's why I think, guys, sometimes more is not always more. Was it the right time to write a book and go on a book tour? Maybe it wasn't. Maybe he should have waited. I think that he saw Dave Quinn's book do so great. He wanted to get a book out there as well. But it puts, again, he's in a bad position because he's their boss, but he's also the mediator, and he just is only one person. I mean, how many franchises are there? That's a lot to keep up with. We as content creators, I know that we talk about it's hard to keep up with all of, even if you're doing it full time, it's a lot to keep up because it's always changing and everything is in real time now because of social media. Viewers, everything's real time. So you really have to be on top of things. And I think it's just impossible for one person to do that and to give it their all. Like, break them up into districts or West Coast, East Coast, something. Margaret was on Jeff Lewis with her mother. Okay, mama. Yes. Yes. I posted a clip because I thought it was disgusting how she spoke about her mother on Jeff Lewis. And even Jeff Lewis looked at her like she was a complete DICK. And if Jeff Lewis thinks you're then you really, she was like so rude about her mother's teeth. Yes, thank you, Deb, for reminding everyone. Please hit the like button. 35 of you in there. Definitely makes a difference with my videos. Remember, Melissa's fans ruined her. Yes, they did. They did hack my Instagram, likely, allegedly, and my address. And yes, yep, they did. They went super duper hard on me. So hard. You can, yo-yo. You can make a dress look like $1,000. I agree with you. I completely agree with you. Not to mention, it's not like they're like, I don't feel like any of the ladies, like, they are more casual. I mean, out of New Jersey, I really think that, not that they don't bring amazing fashion and like when it's, but they do film a lot at the shore. They film during the summer. They're in bathing suits and they're at the shore and they're in bathing suit wraps and hats and glasses and sandals, and so I don't feel like there's anything wrong with Amazon for a situation like that. And she looked amazing, and I think that they were just being so hateful, which again takes me back to, it doesn't make any sense that Margaret was making fun of Danielle in her confessionals, because hypothetically Margaret didn't necessarily know that her and Danielle, or what like Danielle was saying in her confessionals about Margaret, right? She didn't really know. So how are you being so nice to her, making her a logo, coming up with this saying, yada, yada, yada. But then at the same time, you're in your confessionals talking shit about her. I don't know. And did you notice the minimal interaction between Margaret and Dolores? They didn't have a lot of interaction. They did not. And allegedly, Paulie's been getting divorced for 14 years. So my only explanation to that would be there's likely been times of reconciliation. I had a great aunt that married and divorced her husband 3 times. And they had 3 kids. And this was like in the 60s and 70s. Yeah, 60s and 70s. Like over a 20-year span. Literally married and divorced 3 times. The same person. Same people. So it happens. So maybe they've like broken up, reconciled, and he's just going by like when they legally maybe filed for a separation of some sort. That would be my guess. I would say that we should all just cut Dolores some slack about the issue. And the most important thing is that as long as he gets divorced now. How long have you all been dating? Where TikTok, mother effer, where is your divorce at, Paulie? I need to know. Margaret is mad at Dolores for making up with Jennifer. Alexia should tell the world that Louie did not try to date her. If he really did, they both should own it. Here's the thing. I actually was going to look this up. I think it's weird that Todd and Louie somehow have a connection previous to the Real Housewives, a business connection. I do find that a little bit strange. However, I don't even think Alexia was back. I don't even think the Real Housewives of Miami had made a return, let alone a successful return. What season are we on with them coming on Peacock? They've been back, what, 2 years? Yeah, 2 years. That's it. They've only been back 2 years. So why would he want to date Alexia? The show had been canceled for 6 years. Miami wasn't on for 6 years. So it just doesn't make a lot of sense if he's targeting Housewives. Why would he target Alexia? They would have probably, I mean, if he met Teresa, like what, 2 years ago? That would be right. It's 2023. Maybe like 3 years ago is when they met, because they got married and engaged within a 2-year span, correct? They got married last August. So I don't even think the Miami, they might have just started filming whenever Louis met Teresa. So anything prior to that, it wouldn't make a lot of sense. Jacob, Marge said it on the after show, and Frank said the Gorgas questioned it on the actual show. Oh, really? I didn't know that. Um, Sorry, guys. Marge wanted to give Danielle a stolen logo to get her in trouble, probably. I'm sure Dolores knows what Marge said during the after show that Paul was still married. Oh yeah, she knows now. And they probably gave her that footage prior to. I think because things are different in Ireland, most Catholic country ever. Also he has a reason to divorce. Yes, as long as he divorces now, we don't really care, right? If you're listening, Paulie, like what you do now is what's important. You're with Dolores. Now y'all been together prior to the season, right? Like, how long did they date prior before he started filming? I'm not really sure. So we're going on over a year. Get divorced. I mean, she was at their wedding. Yeah. I mean, I read somewhere that Polly made a statement about Ireland being a Catholic country and divorcing is frowned upon and it takes forever to get one. Okay, if he was married in a different country, then that definitely changes things because we know that it changes things from state to state. So a divorce in another country, I didn't know that he was like married. I thought he came over here when he was young, he said, before he was married and had kids, but I could have misunderstood. I thought when they had the dinner with Brittany and Frank that he said he came over here young, right? Andy doesn't hold certain ladies accountable. He never asked the right questions. I agree. Um, See here, guys. I like Trey, and I think Melissa should be off the show. However, Trey needs to calm down and speak her words more clearly. I agree with you. She lets Melissa get her. Either production is editing it that way, or she lets herself get so flustered. Um, I was surprised about the Shane thing. I was surprised they showed photos of that because the thing was, we have to remember that Teresa was like low key at that time because Juicy Joe was in prison, but they were still married and they didn't know for sure if he was going to be deported. And when she came home from prison, they went back to being a married functioning couple as if nothing had ever happened. But because he was gone for 3 years, which is a much more significant amount of time than a year, and also because he was deported and did another 6 months in ICE fighting deportation, during those 3 years, no one knew if they were going to stay together or be divorced. Did you notice how MJ Sofa scowled walking in, but Trey Sofa walked in all I know. MJ, like, she scuffled in with her hood up like she was going to a boxing match or something, and Teresa just kind of comes in like, do you like my dress? I love it. I mean, no worries. Oh, Cindy's mom says they were married in Ireland. Thank you for clearing that up. Well, then that definitely probably changes things. He was married in Ireland and the wife lives there. Where's the children live? Okay. So I believe Teresa got death threats. I believe Deb. Absolutely, I believe that. Are you guys kidding me? These people that are behind the scenes that are a well-oiled machine. If you guys are new to my channel, okay, back in April, I did a video that I got a cease and desist for, like 8 hours later. I replied professionally, kindly, took the video down, and woke up the next morning to, I was doxxed, my address, my phone number, my picture. I mean, I had to explain my whole life story because I was doxxed. I mean, it was very disgraceful. That was like number one for me. Number two for me, then I got hacked from a device in New Jersey on my Instagram about a month ago, which I was warning everyone. I even said that very same morning I did a video telling everyone be careful. People are getting hacked. They want your conversation. Like, it's a real thing. And so then I also saw the DMs that they sent this woman on Twitter who was a Teresa fan. She was not like a crazy Teresa fan, like that she's, she was just simply a Twitter Teresa lover who was going through chemotherapy. She had cancer, and the DMs that were sent to her to basically unalive herself when her life was worth nothing were disgraceful. So there's a lot of people that help run that social media camp over there, and they definitely have no heart no human decency, and they've been coming for Teresa for a very, 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 very long time. If you go back, I posted a video that was an article that was before Melissa was even on the show, and the article was titled Teresa's marble, how did it say it? Mausoleum versus Melissa's mansion. And it was literally photos of comparisons of Melissa's house to Teresa's house. All the photos of Teresa's house had been like taken off of the TV. And it was like from season 1 or season 2. It was before Melissa was even on the show. All right. They were on anonymous blogging sites talking terrible about all of them, talking terrible about Jacqueline. Like, Melissa has 2 sisters, 2 older sisters that allegedly are really protective of her. They have husbands. Look at how they interacted at the christening, guys. Remember how Melissa's sister and husband acted at the christening. The husband, how he was with Joe Gorga, like this. Okay? They are a very well-oiled machine. The cease and desist I got wasn't even from, it was from a cousin's fiance. That's how many people are running that team over there, guys. It's a big team. It's a big, 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 big team. And they make their own decisions. And whenever something goes awry on her social media, I think they just lie to her to cover it up. I think that's what they do. I think they just, if they do something out of line that gets her in trouble or makes her look bad, I honestly think they just lie to her and tell her like the opposite of what happened. So that's just my opinion. But I think the social media, I don't know. I believe death threats too, especially since they are under the gag order. So having someone do their dirty work to make her hide. But I'm glad Trey and Lou are standing up for themselves. Is anyone safe with Margaret? Great question. I think Melissa and Joe leaked to the media. Absolutely. Let's also remember that Page Six came out with an article that was trying to say that Teresa and Louie had copied off of Melissa and Joe's house. Again, comparison photos. And it was complete bullshit because Teresa and Louie had already been in their house for like a year, and Melissa and Joe were just like unveiling their house. Not to mention that Teresa and Louie had, I think I said Teresa and Joe. Teresa and Louie had designers, real designers, come in and draw up their remodel, right? And the Gorgas didn't have that. And again, their home was like completed like a year later. We didn't even see their new house on this season. We saw Teresa. They did a whole series on Teresa's house. It was like a whole 2-part series. I think it's on my Instagram. I reshared it whenever my Instagram got hacked. But there was a whole special. They filmed everything in Teresa's new house. And that was before the season started. And by the end of the season, we still hadn't seen Teresa or had seen Joe and Melissa's new home. So like the timelines, they don't make sense. And as uh very good advice that Kyle Richards has always given us about the press as it pertains to people feeding the press and giving stories. Lisa Vanderpump said the same thing. You have to look to see who the article favors, and that will tell you who leaked it to the press. Yes. Wow, was Margaret Fuda and especially Melissa's practice lines beforehand to make Teresa nervous? She was so hurt. Her heart was pounding. I know. Melissa blocked Gia on social media. She is that aunt. She claims not to be. I know. Isn't he the one that cheated on? I think so. Yo, those pictures. That's like this is what doesn't make any sense. Whoever posted those, like, where's the heat on these people? They literally like I'm surprised they had their kneecaps after they post. These people released photos of Melissa's brother-in-law in very, very, very compromising positions. I don't have them. I didn't even want. I was like, I don't want to look at this shit because I'll get blamed for it. I know how Teresa feels.
Because they were also blaming me and saying that I was running all of these accounts. They were also saying that I was TreyFab 2022. So everything that she shared, because she, like, I basically had to make a deal with the devil to get my stuff offline, to get my address down. I had to take down, content and such. And, Trade Fab, she didn't have to do, other accounts didn't have to do that. And so when they would post negatively about the Gorgas, they would blame me and say it was me and say it was my account that I was running. They also said I was Bye Bye Wigs. They said I was that account too. So they were like, and I'm like, I'm over here working, taking care of my kid. I own 5 acres that I take care of. Look at my nails, okay? Like I don't have time to run 3 accounts. If somebody is getting paid to do, to do something like that, then that is something that someone that gets paid could possibly do. Maybe they could run 3 accounts and keep up with that. But and this isn't for my full time job. Louie isn't paying me. Melissa's not paying me. Nobody's paying me. So I'm not running 2 and 3 accounts because I love Teresa Jude so much. Like, gosh, come on, guys. Who is ringing Margaret's son and Rachel? Are they setting up Trey and Louie? I have no idea. I don't know about that because I don't know. I don't. I know like a couple of people that know her son in New York. Um, but like never anything. I could ask. That's a good question. I'll ask and see. But the person that my source there, like, they just spoke poorly of Marge as well and said like Marge didn't like them hanging out with her son and yada yada yada. And so like they pretty much had the same general conception of Marge as what we all have. That's what I'm wondering, Camille. You know what side of the couch and Frank got together to have similar stories for the reunion? Ugh. Danielle was spot on last night when she was calling Rachel a true bitch. I wish she didn't ease up on her because I thought she was spot on. Who's ringing Margaret's son and Rachel? Oh, sorry, Anna. I'm team Teresa 1000%, but I got to be honest. Sometimes Louie is slightly cringy. Listen, I've said it before and I've said it again, and I hope that somebody on Teresa's team, somebody figures this out. Don't put pressure on fans. Don't make Teresa and Louie a package deal, right? Like you got to separate them because there's a lot of people that aren't feeling Louie, and that's okay. They're allowed to not like him, okay? Everyone has said it was not a great season for him to start. This was not a great season for them to introduce Louis. He was in a high stress situation. They were getting married. They were dealing with the Gorgas. They're dealing with press. They're dealing with getting filmed. They're dealing with a wedding special. Like there's a lot going on there. There's a lot of pressure. And I think that just between filming, production, editing, no matter what, we weren't going to see the guy in a great light. I just don't think it was even set up for that. So until fans can really get a feel for him, people love Teresa because she's been so vulnerable and they've been watching her for years and years, watched her children grow up. She's allowed the cameras into her home, since the Real Housewives of New Jersey. That's what has built up a rapport with fans, right? And so you can't throw someone that we've only known for a year or 2 years and say, like, you got to love Teresa and Louie. It's Teresa and Louie, Teresa and Louie, Teresa and Louie, Teresa and Louie. No, you can't do it because what's going to happen is people are going to be less Teresa because of Louie if they're not feeling them or if they feel like there's pressure that we have to like Louie because he's with Teresa. I don't want to feel pressure that Teresa's going to be upset if I report that I didn't like the way Louie spoke to her. Like we in a professional world, like we got to remember who is the housewife. This is why they're kind of bending the rules a little bit with New Jersey, and it might not be working so well. At first, they thought the house husbands was a great idea. It was going to make them a lot of money. The men, my sources confirmed, had a deal with a 3-letter network, a big 3-letter network. It was canceled, but they're still trying to monetize off of that. And unfortunately, that's why we're getting so much men. And just like Melissa gets hate when people don't like Joe. Same sort of thing, but we've known Joe longer. So Louis, give people a chance to feel the man out. We didn't obviously again, we can't really just go off of what we saw over the season. It was a high stress situation. But at the same time, let's separate Teresa as her own housewife, her own entity, which is what she's been for a long time. That's another thing. Viewers are used to just seeing Teresa. It's been Teresa and the girls since she came home and Joe went away, right? So I just think that we need to separate housewife from house husband, because we're getting a lot of the blurred lines that we got with Melissa and Joe. And if that's the case, then put them on their own family show and give us back the housewives. I don't know. All right, guys, I'm about to cut this video because I gotta go to work, but it was great chatting with you guys. Like I said, my video is about to post at 1:30. It's gonna talk about the prison fib and how that does not align correctly with how institutions work. And also, I hope you guys show some love for my channel. Hit the like button, subscribe, turn your notifications on. This is a great reason why you should keep your notifications on, because of the fact that I just will spontaneously come on and give you guys tea. And I give it to you guys before I put it on other platforms. Pause. I also want to tell you, I just remembered that Peter Thomas allegedly owes a waitress $1,400 from Bar 1 in Miami, and she has created several TikToks about it because she is pissed. She allegedly worked there for several weeks, bartended again at the Miami Bar 1 restaurant. She went in to get her money because she hasn't gotten paid, and she filmed it. They actually called the police and they did not pay her. And then Peter Thomas made a video in response, which I did not post or record because it was a little, I don't even know what to say. He felt disrespected and he asked that she treat him like if he was a different ethnic background. So hopefully the waitress gets her money. I'm sorry, bartender. I think that that's like shitty anytime. I mean, people are like, why do they keep working? Like they said that about the maid that allegedly the Gorgas owed $2,000 to. What happens is like they work. They're supposed to get their first paycheck. Maybe their first paycheck's supposed to be $700. They put it in the bank. It bounces. It takes a couple of days to come back, yada, yada, yada. A week's gone by, so they've already worked another week. By the time they realize that that check is no good, it's almost time for the second paycheck, right? So it happens to people a lot. And unfortunately, this young woman alleges that she bartended and then she owes him $1,400, or he owes her $1,400. And he says that he don't owe nobody. He don't owe nobody nothing. So there you have it. I don't know. Does he still owe Cynthia? Do you guys remember when he owed Cynthia like 60K and she was getting ready to marry Mike Hill? So she was like, I'm going to need my money, honey. I'm going to need my money back. Yeah. So, all right, guys, hit that like button, subscribe. We'll talk soon.